Anyhow, this one should be starting up shortly.
All right.
You may be seated. This is the 5 p.m. initial appearance calendar for January 27th of 2025. The court's orders for the taking of DNA samples and fingerprints that were given on the first of the month will apply to all matters on this calendar. I am going to be calling you each up to come to the podium one by one. Well, I will ask you to state your first and last name, your date of birth, and then I will advise you as to why you are here, whether or not an attorney has been appointed to represent you, what your upcoming court dates are, what your bond is if you are eligible for bond, and what your release conditions will be. I know that many of you may have questions while I'm speaking. Please hold your questions until I finish telling you all the information that you need to know. The first person that I am calling is Renee Sandoval. Oh, we don't have the interpreter, really? Oh, okay. The first person that I'm going to call is Renee Sandoval.
La primera persona que va a pasar al frente es Renee Sandoval. Good afternoon, Your Honor. I'm my telequest court interpreter.
Thank you. Sir, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Señor, ¿me da su nombre completo?
Me llamo René David Sandoval Cariaga.
My name is René David Sandoval Cariaga. ¿Y su fecha de nacimiento?
10 de octubre del año 2002.
October 10th of 2002.
Sir, you were here on a grand jury warrant.
Señor, está presente por una orden de arresto del jurado indagatorio.
The grand jury warrant charges you with the following.
El jurado indagatorio levantó las siguientes acusaciones.
One count of manslaughter, a Class 2 felony.
Un delito por homicidio culposo, delito de categoría 2.
Another count of manslaughter, a Class 2 felony.
Otro punto acusatorio también por homicidio culposo, delito de categoría 2.
4 counts of aggravated assault, a Class 2 felony.
4 puntos acusatorios de agresión con agravante, delitos de categoría 2.
I did appoint an attorney to represent you in this matter.
Le nombré a un abogado para su representación en este caso.
You will have a arraignment hearing on February 4th at 8:30.
Va a tener una audiencia de vista incoautoria el 4 de febrero a las 8:30.
The grand jury warrant had a cash-only bond in the amount of $250,000.
El jurado indagatorio fijó fianza para asegurar su comparecencia y se puede pagar únicamente en efectivo, son $250,000.
If you were able to post bond,
si deposita la fianza,
you will have to follow the release conditions as they are reflected on your paperwork.
Tendrá que seguir las medidas cautelares que se reflejan en sus documentos.
That concludes everything that we have to do here this evening.
Eso concluye todo lo que vamos a hacer con usted esta tarde.
If you will please step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork.
Si puede pasar a su izquierda, el agente policial le va a pasar sus documentos.
Ms. Lopez, can you inquire as to whether or not anybody else is in need of your services before I let you go?
Your Honor, I had a second one for an Alejandro Flores.
Yes, we're going to have to use the language line for him because he's not here in court. He's in a holding safe cell.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yeah, he's not here in the courtroom, so, and we don't want to keep you till unless you would like to remain on the line until the end of the calendar.
Let me make the announcement, Your Honor, and if the court could guesstimate time-wise for me, I could let you know. ¿Hay alguna otra persona que necesite ayuda en español? Si requiere ayuda en español, levante la mano, por favor.
No one is, there is another person that's indicating that they need an interpreter.
If the court needed me, I am available up to 5:30, Your Honor. Unfortunately, that's the latest I could go.
Okay, so we have a gentleman, when you made the announcement, who's going to call in, and then I'm going to excuse you. Yes?
Okay.
Yes, sir. Can you please come to the podium? Can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
¿Me da su nombre completo, señor?
Mi nombre completo es Luis Manuel Zárate Flores.
My full name is Luis Manuel Zárate Flores. Fecha de nacimiento?
12/31 del 86.
12/31/86.
Thank you. You were here because you have a warrant from West Mesa Justice Court.
Tiene usted aquí una orden de arresto del Juzgado de Paz del Poniente de Mesa, que es West Mesa.
Due to the nature of the offense, you are not entitled to a court-appointed attorney.
Dada la naturaleza del ilícito, no tiene derecho a que se le nombre un abogado de oficio.
You will have an arraignment hearing on February 18th at 8:30.
Va a tener una vista incoautoria el 18 de febrero a las 8:30 de la mañana.
I am going to release you on your own recognizance today, but you do have to promise to appear for your court date.
Lo voy a dejar en libertad bajo palabra el día de hoy, pero tiene que dar fe que sí va a comparecer para su audiencia.
Okay.
Do you promise to appear for your court date?
¿Da fe que comparecerá a su audiencia?
Sí.
Yes.
And please be advised that if you fail to appear for your court date, a warrant will be issued for your arrest and bond will be imposed at your next hearing.
Se le advierte, señor, que si no comparece a su siguiente audiencia, se puede emitir una orden de aprehensión en su contra y se le fijaría una fianza.
Okay.
Do you
Okay.
understand?
¿Entiende eso, señor?
Sí, sí.
Yes, yes.
Okay. If you'll please step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork.
Si puede pasar a su izquierda, el alguacil tiene sus documentos, señor. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lopez. You may be excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Marcus, will you please come in? Mr. Marcus, will you please come into the courtroom? And Mr. Herrera, you will please have a seat in the chair. Oh, sir, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Chauncey Marcus,
And what is your date of birth?
7/9/84.
So you are here today because you have 4 matters. You have 1 warrant for failing to appear. You have 2 violations of probation, and then you have 1 new case. So I'm going to first address the warrants. On your first one, the warrant is for failing to appear. You already have an attorney representing you in this case. You will have a status conference hearing on February 6th at 8:30. That warrant had a secured appearance bond in the amount of $20,000. And then on your violation of probation, I did appoint an attorney to represent you in that matter. You will have a violation of probation, revocation, and possible disposition hearing on February 3rd at 8:30. That warrant had a secured appearance bond in the amount of $1,000. And then your other violation of probation petition, I did appoint an attorney to represent you in that matter. You have, again, a probation revocation possible disposition hearing on February 3rd at 8:30, and you have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $250 as to that one. And then as to your new case, you were charged with 1 count of burglary in the 3rd degree, a class 4 felony. I did find probable cause. I did appoint an attorney to represent you in that matter. You have a status conference hearing on February 3rd at 8:30 and a preliminary hearing on February 5th at 8:30. Because you were on felony release at the time, I have to redo this order, it's not showing why. You were on felony release at the time that this alleged offense occurred. And so by statute, you are not eligible for bond today, and so you will have an evidentiary hearing on February 3rd at 1:30. So I would caution you against attempting to post bond on the matters that you are available for until you have your evidentiary hearing to find out if you will be eligible for bond. That takes care of everything that we have to do here today. If you will step to your left office, I will give you Mr. Herrera, if you will please come to the podium, and Mr. Donovan Para Lamon, if you will please have a seat in the chair. Sir, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Diego Lee Herrera, Your Honor.
And what is your date of birth?
03/03/1993.
You are here today on a new case. You were charged with 1 count of aggravated domestic violence, a class 5 felony. I did find probable cause to that offense. I did appoint an attorney to represent you. You will have a status conference hearing on February 3rd at 8:30 and a preliminary hearing on February 5th at 8:30. You do have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $5,000. If you are able to post bond, I'm sorry, I have to fix this one too, but I'm just noticing that my changes weren't saved. Okay, I've made the edit. And then just let me know if it's showing saved on your end. Okay. You do have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $5,000. If you are able to post bond, you will be released to pretrial services with electronic monitoring. You cannot return to the scene of the alleged crime. You cannot initiate any contact with the alleged victims. You cannot possess any weapons. If you have an order of protection or an order against harassment, you must obey the terms of those orders. You may not have any contact with the victim for any reason. You may not reside at the same location as the alleged victim, even if you are the owner or renter of the residence. You are permitted 1 civil standby with law enforcement to allow you to retrieve your essential belongings. You are also cautioned that if you violate the no victim contact order in this case, that may constitute aggravated harassment, which is a class 6 felony. That takes care of everything that we have to do here today. If you will step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork.
Done?
We're done. Did you have a question?
Yeah, is there any way I could get on pretrial services, Your Honor? Because I can't afford $5,000.
So
I don't even make enough. I make minimum wage.
Here's the thing, just for you to understand where I went, how I got to the determination of what I did. It's the nature of the charge, and I did review information when I advised you at the beginning of the hearing that I made a probable cause finding of it. It's the severity of what has occurred that I believe that bond is appropriate. While I am sorry that you're not able to post bond, but I also have to look at, the safety of the victim, and the victim in this case has not made any statement, but what I've imposed here is guided by the statute. So I believe that I in the interest of protecting the community and the victim, I believe a secured appearance bond is appropriate here.
Can I tell you something? She told me she lied and she was scared that she was going to go to jail.
I'm not going to even, that's what I appointed an attorney to represent you, and I told you what I read, and that's what I reviewed. So you will have an attorney representing you, and your attorney can, you can state whatever defenses you want to your attorney, and they will raise that for you, but just based on what I read, that's what I believe is the appropriate thing to do here today. And so I explained to you why. I'm not changing it. If you will step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork. Mr. Ramon, if you will please come to the podium, and if Mr. Ogle will please have a seat in the chair. Hello, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Donovan Giovanni Parra, January 10, 2000.
You were here on two matters. One is a warrant for failing to appear for your hearing, and the other one, I believe you have two warrants for failing to appear for your court date.
Yeah.
So you already have an attorney appointed to represent you in these matters. You will have a status conference hearing on February 6th. I'm sorry, you have three matters. My apologies. You have one violation of probation and two warrants that were issued for failing to appear for your court date. As to your violation of probation, I did appoint an attorney to represent you in that matter. You will have a probation revocation possible disposition hearing on February 3rd at 8:30. You do have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $1250. I do note that you are in DOC custody. The bond will allow you to continue to accrue credit for your time being served, and you will be returned to DOC upon the completion of these matters. Then, as to your warrants for failing to appear, you have a bond on one of them in the amount of $35,000 and $5,000 as to the other warrant. You already have an attorney representing you in those matters as well. You will have a Ruby, this is odd. These are failures to appear. On number 29, but it has it set for an arraignment hearing. Okay. So I just need to re-sign the order? Is it going to be the same court date?
No.
Okay.
But I don't think it affects your signature.
Right, but I have to tell him the court date.
Okay.
So what they both, because number 28, the post-warrant hearing is on February 6th, with 29 be the same date. Okay, so what is the court date?
February February 6th.
Okay, so on your 2 warrants for failing to appear, you will have a post-warrant status conference hearing on February 6th at 8:30. And again, as I advised you on the first matter, you will remain here in our custody until these matters are completed. Once they are completed, you'll be returned to DOC custody. That takes care of everything that we have to do here today. If you will step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork. Thank you. Mr. Ogle, will you please come into the courtroom? And Ms. Campa, if you will please have a seat in the chair. Sir, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Stephen Ogle, 5/15/84.
Thank you. You were here on 1 new matter and then 2 violations of probation. As to your 2 violations of probation, I did appoint an attorney to represent you in both matters. You will have a probation revocation possible disposition hearing on February 3rd at 8:30. You have a secured appearance bond of $250 per case. If you then, as to your new case, you were charged with 1 count of theft or control of property, a Class 6 felony. I appointed an attorney to represent you in that matter. You will have a status conference hearing on February 3rd at 8:30, a preliminary hearing on February 5th at 8:30. You do have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $5,000. So between the 3 cases, you have a secured appearance bond of $5,500. You do need to make sure that you contact your probation officer within 72 hours of your release. If you are able to post bond, you do need to make sure that you appear for your hearings. If you fail to appear, any bond posted will be forfeited, and you will be subject to bond again. That takes care of everything that we have to do here today. Yes.
Is there any way that I can ask to get my bond amount lowered? Because I take care of my dad. He has Alzheimer's. I take care of him. I was started up on probation. I was on IPS. I went down to standard probation within 2 months. I've been doing everything I was supposed to be doing, and
not everything, because you were charged with a new case, and you're not supposed to be having any contact with law enforcement.
I didn't.
Okay, so I'm not going to argue the facts of the
I
case
know, that's
with
why I don't
you.
want to do
I just review the probable cause statement, and I make the findings that I make. And so based on what I reviewed, based on your history, I do believe that the bond that has been, that I've just advised you of is appropriate. So that's what the order is for today. If you will step to your left, the officer will give you.
Thank you.
Ms. Campa, will you please come into the courtroom? And Mr. Wittenberg, will you please have a seat in the chair? Ma'am, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Lacey Campa, date of birth is 8/26/92.
You were here for 2 matters. You have 1 violation of probation. You also are here on a new case. As to your violation of probation, I did appoint an attorney to represent you in that matter. You do have a non-witness violation hearing on February 3rd at 8:30. Your violation of probation had a secured appearance bond in the amount of $1,000. And then as to your new case, you were charged with 1 count of false reporting to law enforcement, a Class 1 misdemeanor. I did find probable cause as to that matter. You do have, I did appoint an attorney to represent you. You do have an arraignment hearing on January 30th at 8:30. You do have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $50. It's really a placeholder bond since you're being held on your violation of probation. That makes sure that you get transported for this hearing. Your total bond between the 2 cases is $1,050. If you are able to post bond, you do need to contact your probation officer within 72 hours of your release. That takes care of everything that we have to do here today. If you'll step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork.
I'm sorry, on both Dyer, I have a hard time hearing you because it's really loud out there. You said I can postpone on both cases?
Yes.
So, $1,050 you said?
Total, it's the total.
Is that like $150 cash?
I'm not gonna, every bonding company is different. That's what I've understood. So you can contact a Bell's bondman and they'll tell you what their fees are and how they.
So there's no probation hold, technically. I could post bond and then reach my probation officer.
Yes, for your probation warrant, they ordered a bond in the amount of $1,000 secured appearance. So if you post that bond, and then you post the $50 for your other case, you can be released.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Wittenberg, will you please come to the podium? And Ms. Ramirez, if you will please have a seat in the chair. Mr. Wittenberg, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Dante Wittenberg, 11-1801.
You were here for a violation of probation. I did appoint an attorney to represent you. You do have a probation revocation possible disposition hearing on February 3rd at 8:30. You have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $100. If you are able to post bond, you need to contact your probation officer within 72 hours. Make sure that you appear for your hearing. If you fail to appear for your hearing, any bond posted could be forfeited and another warrant would be issued for your arrest and you'd be subject to bond again, okay?
All right.
Thank you. If you'll step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork. Ms. Ramirez, will you please come into the courtroom? And Mr. Sanders, if you will please have a seat in the chair. Hello. Can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Destiny Ramirez, 07-22-2000.
You were here because you have 2 warrants for failing to appear for your court date. An attorney was already appointed to represent you in this matter. You will have a probation revocation possible disposition hearing on February 3rd at 8:30 for both matters. You have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $300 on one matter and $50 in the other. That's a total of $350 secured appearance bond. If you are able to post bond, you do need to contact your probation officer. Make sure that you do attend your court date. If you fail to appear for your court date, a warrant will be issued for your arrest. Any bond posted will be forfeited, and you will be subject to bond again. That takes care of everything that we can do here today. If you will step to your left, the officer will give you your paper. Mr. Sanders, if you will please come into the courtroom, and Ms. Wilson, if you will have a seat in the chair. Sir, can you please state your first and last name and your
Arnez Leon Sanders, September 9th, 1998.
You are here on a new case. You were charged with 1 count of possession of a dangerous drug, a class 4 felony, and 1 count of possession of drug paraphernalia. I did find probable cause as to both counts. I did appoint an attorney to represent you. You have a status conference hearing on February 3rd at 8:30 and a preliminary hearing on February 5th at 8:30. You do have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $500. If you are able to post bond, you do need to make sure that you attend your court date. If you fail to attend your court date, any bond posted will be forfeited. Another warrant will be issued for your arrest and you will be subject to bond again.
So I won't get out today?
If you can't post bond, you won't. I'm not releasing you.
Okay. All right.
Ms. Wilson, if you will please come into the courtroom. And Mr. Torres, if you will please have a seat in the chair. Ms. Wilson, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Selena Wilson, 6/25/1991.
And you are here because a warrant was issued when you failed to appear for your court date. An attorney was already appointed to represent you in this matter. You have a status conference hearing on February 3rd at 8:30 and a preliminary hearing on February 5th at 8:30. You have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $250. If you are able to post bond, you need to make sure that you attend your court date. If you fail to appear for your court date, any bond posted will be forfeited. Another warrant will be issued for your arrest, and you will be subject to bond again. That takes care of everything that we have to do here. If you please step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork. Mr. Torres, will you please come into the courtroom?
Hello.
And Mr. Wong, if you'll please have a seat in the chair. Hello, sir. Can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Guillermo Manuel Torres, birthday is September 11th, 1983.
You were here on a new case. You were charged with 1 count of driving with a suspended or revoked license, a class 1 misdemeanor. I did find probable causes to this offense. I did not appoint an attorney to you in this matter. Due to the nature of the offense, you are not entitled to appoint a court-appointed counsel. You do have an arraignment hearing on February 14th at 10 o'clock. I am inclined to release you on your own recognizance. You do have to promise to appear for your court date. Do you promise to appear?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you fail to appear for your court date, a warrant will be issued for your arrest and bond will likely be imposed. Do you understand?
Yes.
So if you'll step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Wong, will you please come into the courtroom? And Mr. Cruz, will you please have a seat in the chair?
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Hello, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Nicolo Edward Wong, November 16th, 1993.
Mr. Wong, you are here for 3 matters. You have 2 warrants and 1 new case. Both of your warrants are, well, first you're here on warrants out of West Mesa Justice Court and North Mesa Justice Court. On the North Mesa Justice Court, you're not entitled to a court-appointed attorney due to the nature of the offense. You do have an arraignment hearing on February 13th at 1 o'clock. I'm inclined to release you on your own recognizance, but you do have to promise to appear for your court date. Do you promise to appear?
Yes, Your Honor.
For your warrant out of West Mesa Justice Court, again, due to the nature of the charge, you're not entitled to a court-appointed attorney. You do have an arraignment hearing on February 18th at 8:30. Again, inclined to release you on your own recognizance. You do have to promise to appear for your court date. Do you promise to appear?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
And then on your new case, as I told you, you were charged with probable cause. You have an arraignment hearing on February 12th at 9 o'clock. You're not entitled to a court-appointed attorney due to the nature of the offense. Again, I'm inclined to release you on your own recognizance, but you have to promise to appear.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Well, don't thank me just yet, because I want you to know that I am just giving you a chance. You have a warrant for the same offense for driving without a license.
I know.
So you need to take care of that, number 1. And number 2, if you come back here again for failing to appear for your court date, bond will be imposed on you and you will be looking at about $1,500 worth of bond. Do you have $1,500?
I don't want to get there, Your Honor.
So make sure you show up to court.
Thank you.
All right. If you'll step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork.
Thank you.
Mr. Cruz, will you please come to the... Mr. Cruz, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Jermaine Cruz, 05/22/1993.
You are here because you were charged with 1 count of assault with intent to injure and 1 count of disorderly conduct involving fighting. Both of those charges are Class 1 misdemeanors. I did find probable cause. I did appoint an attorney to represent you. You do have an arraignment hearing on February 12th at 1:30 or 1 o'clock. You have the following release conditions. Oh, this is not right. I have to change this one to Ruby. You are not to have any contact. You're not to have any contact with the victim or return to the scene of the alleged offense. If you are not to possess any weapons, if there are any orders of protections or orders against harassment, you must abide by those terms. You cannot have any contact with any of the victims for any reason. You also cannot reside in the same location as the alleged victim. Even if you are the owner or renter of the residence, you are permitted 1 simple standby with local law enforcement to assist you in retrieving your essential belongings. You are cautioned that if you fail to abide by the no contact order in this case, you could be charged with aggravated harassment, which is a Class 6 felony. You do have an arraignment hearing on February 12th at 1 o'clock. I'm going to release you on your own recognizance today. You do have to promise to appear for your court date. Do you promise to appear?
I promise.
And do you promise to abide by all the release conditions that I just went over with you?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you'll step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Mercado, if you'll please come into the courtroom. And Ms. Angelis, if you'll please have a seat in the chair. Mr. Mercado, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
My full name is Asher Joseph Mercado. My date of birth is 12/30/2004.
You were here on a new case. You were charged with 1 count of unlawful discharge of a firearm within a city limit, a Class 6 felony. I did appoint an attorney to represent you. You will have a status conference hearing on February 11th at 8:30 and a preliminary hearing on February 13th at 8:30. I am inclined to release you to pretrial services. But you do have to promise to appear for your court dates. Do you promise to appear for your court dates?
Yes, ma'am, I promise.
You must abide by your release conditions, and the one that I'm highlighting with you is that you are not to possess any weapons. If you fail to comply with your release conditions or you fail to appear for your court date, a warrant can be issued for your arrest and a bond will likely be imposed. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So that takes care of everything that we have to do here today. If you will step to your left,
I just had a quick question. For the someone I guess to represent me, I can change that later on, if I want someone, or
you always have the right to hire your own attorney.
All right. I just want to know. All right, thank you.
Ms. Angelis, will you please come into the courtroom? And Ms. Coach, if you will please have a seat in the chair. And can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Jennifer Angelis, 11/18/98.
You are here because you have a warrant out of North Mesa Justice Court. Due to the nature of the offense, you are not entitled to a court-appointed attorney. You do have an arraignment hearing on February 13th at 1 o'clock. I am inclined to release you on your own recognizance today. You do have to promise to appear for your court date. Do you promise to appear?
Yes.
If you fail to appear for your court date, another warrant will be issued for your arrest and a bond will likely be imposed. So if you will step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork. Ms. Coates or Ms. Cote, if you will please come into the courtroom. Ma'am, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Mary Cody. My date of birth is February 16th, 2006.
You are here because you are a fugitive of justice. I believe you have a warrant out of the state of California.
Huh? I don't have a
California,
warrant out of
Florida.
California.
I said that wrong. It's Florida.
Okay.
I misstated. I'm sorry. Sorry. So you have a warrant out of the state of Florida. As a fugitive of justice, you have a right to an extradition hearing. You would be entitled to bond. Typically, you would be, but in your instance, you are not, based on, I believe that it's a violation of probation out of Florida. If you choose to go request an extradition hearing, that requires a warrant to be signed by both the governor here in Arizona and the governor in Florida. That process can take between 60 and 90 days. Once that process is complete, Florida would be notified that you were ready to pick up. If you don't have any local charges pending. You can waive the extradition hearing. A bond would not be applicable either way. But if you choose to waive an extradition hearing, Florida would have 30 days from tomorrow to come and pick you up. But that's only if you don't have any local charges pending. I'm not sure what you would like to do today. Did you have an opportunity to review the paperwork regarding your rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you know how you would like to proceed today?
I would like to do the 30-day.
So in order to do that, you would have to waive rights. And so I'm going to ask you some questions just to confirm those things, okay?
All right.
So I'm confirming that you did review the waiver of extradition paperwork, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand that you do not have to sign the paperwork?
Yes.
Do you understand that you have the right to an extradition hearing? Yes. You have to answer yes that way.
Yes.
You understand that you have the right to hire a lawyer at your own expense?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you understand that you have the right to demand that a governor's warrant be signed by the governor both here, Arizona, and in Florida?
Yes.
Do you understand that you have, you understand that due to the nature of your warrant that you are not entitled to bonds. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Do you wish to give up the rights as described and sign the paperwork?
Yes.
Has anybody threatened you or promised you anything to get you to sign the paperwork?
No.
Have you had any drugs, alcohol, or medication within the last 24 hours?
No.
I find that you have knowingly, intelligently, and voluntarily are signing the waiver, and I'm going to also sign it. I'm also directing the Sheriff's Office to notify the requesting state that you are ready for return. The requesting state will have up to 30 days from tomorrow to pick you up unless there are local charges pending. If there are local charges pending, the 30 days will not start until the conclusion of that case. Do you have any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, we're going to have you step forward to sign off on the paperwork. I signed it.
For some reason, it's not showing your signature.
Okay, all right, I will sign it again because it's, okay, is it showing now?
Yes.
Okay. For Oscar Maldonado, the house call, do we know why he is the house call? No, I know, but I'm just asking about him. That's the one I'm going to do first. I'm just asking for the reason because I need to put it on the record. I just need to know the reason for the house call because I have to put it on the record. Okay. So that's for both of them. One is bizarre behavior, the other one is disruptive. Okay. Oscar Maldonado, date of birth, August 6, 1999, is here on a new case. He is not able to participate in person because of bizarre behavior. He was charged with one count of obstruction by refusing to give true name, a Class 2 misdemeanor. Due to the nature of the offense, he is not entitled to a court-appointed attorney. He will have an arraignment hearing on February 13th at 8:30, and the court will release him on his own recognizance. I will be meeting with him virtually. If any changes are needed, I will do so either on the record or in writing. Alejandro Higuera, date of birth, March 22nd, 1994, is also here on a new case. He is not present in person because he is not following directions. He is here. He was charged with one count of DUI, liquor, drugs, vapor, or a combination. Class 1 misdemeanor. I did find probable cause as to those counts. I did appoint an attorney to represent him. He will have a arraignment hearing on February 11th at 1:30. The court is inclined to release him on his own recognizance. I will meet with him virtually. If there are any changes needed, I will do so either on the record or in writing. This concludes the 5 p.m. calendar, and we stand in recess until 8 p.m., and then we're going to do the tablet to do.
What the what? Man, I need to stop hitting the wrong button. Anyhow, hey, thank you guys for tuning in. The next one's going to be Pima County. That'll be in 1 hour and 14 minutes and counting. I'll go ahead and leave the stream up just in case you guys want to hang around. If not, then just go ahead and tune back in at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, California time, if you will. All right. So on that one, I will participate. That one, I will be on that one. I've just, I've been having some other stuff I got to take care around the house. So I'm pretty much done already. I'm caught up. So that'll give me some free time to be able to jump on and go on with my crazy antics, if you will. Anyhow, I am Collect Call James. You are watching You Have a Collect Call From. And like I say around here, life's like a candle. Once you blow it out, it lights out. And with that, we are out. A rato. That's what I'm working on right now, the sink. So the sink I was working on, it's a double sink. So I that first day I had replaced one of them, and then I've been working on mines for like the last few days. I've been gradually, getting it done. And right now, the other day when I had finished it up, the where you plug in the hose, it ended up getting worn out. It was a plastic hose connection. I'm not sure exactly what the terminology is, but so it ended up getting all jacked up, and it wouldn't screw on correctly. So I had to go buy a new connection. I cut that one off and put a new one on right now, and then I was running into some issues, but we prevailed. So the only thing I need to do now is right now what I'm gonna finish up is add some silicone around the sink, and man, let it dry, and we'll be good to go. And there'll be another battle around here to fix. Anyhow, hey, thank you for asking Jim's 2K. Things are always breaking down, so I'm not the handy type, but there is YouTube, so where there's a will, there's a way. Anyhow, what the hell that they're coming back? What the what? Maybe it's a false alarm. Anyhow, I'll go ahead and be back. All right. You guys have a good one. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Hello. Hello.
Hi, we're waiting on the commissioner.
Don't go run away. Judge is here to talk to you still. The judge is here to talk to you still. Hello. 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 I got the mic on. Hello. Hello. Can you hear me?
To the interpreter and to the officer, we're waiting on the commissioner. She will be back.
Okay. Give me a minute. Back up.
Hello, is the interpreter able to hear the court okay?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes. Can I come up, sir? Can you hear?
Can you hear?
Can I come up and hear? All right, let's open up so maybe try to have that paying attention, but let's open up.
Mr. Higuera, this is Commissioner Dyer.
Okay. Hola.
All right.
¿Me escucha?
You were here today because you were charged with 1 count of DUI, a Class 1 misdemeanor.
Hola, ¿me escucha?
Is the interpreter not able to hear the court?
I can hear you. Is the
Yes, I just need for you to repeat what I'm saying. He's participating by iPad.
He's also got, come to the door. So.
Me presento, mi nombre es Adrián, yo soy su intérprete, por motivo perdón, yo interpreto todo lo que diga, se me toma en confidencia. Muy bien. Está aquí que doy porque presenta cargos de un cargo de manejo bajo la influencia de alcohol, cual es un crimen menor de clase 1.
I did appoint an attorney to... Okay, sir, you're talking while I'm talking. For the deputy, I'm just talking and then the interpreter is interpreting. So we both can't be talking at the same time.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so, sir, I did find probable cause as to the offense.
Okay. Se revisó el caso probable en cuanto a la ofensa.
I did appoint an attorney to represent you.
Se ha asignado un abogado a representarle.
You will have an arraignment hearing on February 11th at 1:30.
Tendrá usted una audiencia de lectura de derechos o de cargos en febrero 11 a la 1:30.
I am going to release you on your own recognizance today.
Se le va a liberar bajo su propia responsabilidad el día de hoy.
You do have to appear for your court date.
Si tiene que presentarse para su fecha de tribunal.
If you fail to appear for your court date, a warrant will be issued for your arrest and a bond will be imposed.
Si usted falta presentarse a su fecha de tribunal, una orden será presentada para su arresto y una fianza será impuesta.
That takes care of everything that we have to do here today.
Bueno, eso se hace cargo de todo lo que necesitamos el día de hoy.
The officer will give you your paperwork.
El oficial le dará su papeleo.
Thank you.
Gracias.
And Mr. Interpreter, you may be excused.
Abre usted.
Go ahead over the holding cell 9 now. The judge here. This is Big report.
Hello? Yeah, camera. Wait, is she leaving?
Nope, she's still there.
Is she coming back, the nurse?
She'll come back. No, you still there?
Okay, are we ready?
Yep, I'm at holding cell 9 with Oscar Maldonado.
Thank you. Mr. Maldonado, you are here on a new case. You were charged with 1 count of obstruction, refusal to give true name, a class 2 misdemeanor. I did find probable cause. An attorney was not appointed to you because due to the nature of the charge, you're not entitled to a court-appointed attorney. You do have an arraignment hearing on February 13th at 8:30. I am releasing you on your own recognizance. Please be advised that if you fail to appear for your court date, a warrant will be issued for your arrest and a bond will likely be imposed. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, that takes care of everything that we have to do here today. The officer will give you your paperwork. This concludes, so we're concluded. Thank you.